Welcome back to Dreamcatcher Financial Online Podcast, Dreamcatcher Podcast. I hope you guys caught our last episodes. They were really fun. We talked about financial movies and we talked about festival season. We talked about a couple different things that was really fun. So I really hope you guys are enjoying this podcast. And today there's going to be 4 of us that are on the Dreamcatcher team, but I really wanted to emphasize and talk about our retirement community, and we brought our teammate Willis, who is also our client, Willis Daychild, and my name is Jason Allison, and I am an executive director and the CEO of Dreamcatcher Financial Solutions, and I'll go ahead and just go around and let everybody introduce themselves. Let's go clockwise. Is that good?
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Allison. I am a co-founder of Dreamcatcher. Super excited that you're all here listening in and tuning in with us.
My name is Willis Daychild. I'm a client of Dreamcatcher, and also I'm a financial associate with Dreamcatchers.
Hey everyone, my name is Naomi Chi. I'm a senior financial associate with Dreamcatcher Financial, as well as Stephanie and Jason's executive assistant.
Awesome. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about retirement, and I really wanted to focus on you, Willis, because you're one of our treasured retirement clients, one of our treasured retirees that works with us on a part-time basis. But let's get to know you. Let's hear your story. Tell us where you're from, and a little bit about your backstory, even where you worked and things that you were interested in. I remember you were talking about how much into sports you were and are. So can we start there, Willis?
Okay. Yeah, my name is Willis Daychild. I'm of Wallapai and Chippewa Cree descent. I'm enrolled with the Wallapai, and I lived in Peach Springs for about 4 years, and my mom moved us down here back in 1976 and went to school here and went to high school here, and I just loved it here, so I stayed here and didn't really go anywhere. I went to college here at Arizona State, started out at Phoenix College, and back in high school, I went to Central High School, and like in high school, I was very athletic. I played all sports, football, basketball, baseball, then eventually settled on track and field because I didn't grow. so I did pretty well there, and I was able to make it to state, and I was the MVP of the track team in my senior year, and I've like I said, I've always liked sports. I followed all those sports, and I was into doing statistics and keeping up on the players, my favorite players, and all that. And that was my dream, to be a professional player, but it just didn't happen. So I had to go to Plan B, which was to get my degree in finance from Arizona State University, and of course, that made my mom really proud, and so I was happy too that I made her happy. And then after that, I joined Indian Health Service, and I was there for 33 years. I was a budget analyst. I worked 11 years in finance, and I worked 11 years in the Office of Self-Determination, and 11 years back in finance before I retired last year, back in April 2025. I took some time off, just doing this and that, doing little errands for the family. My dad is still alive, so I had to take him to his appointments to the VA and all that, and just hung out with him. And then when my sister would go on travels, I would tag along, and I would take care of my dad, push my dad around, and so that's what my job was. So, and also I have a little nephew, Benjamin, and I had to, watch him sometimes, and while my sister was at work or something like that, and I enjoyed it. It's good bonding with the little guys.
Mm-hmm. So how long did you work at the Indian Health Service?
Oh, 33 years.
33 years. Was that all here in Phoenix?
Yes, it was. Yes,
wow.
It was.
I know. Amazing. So you probably got to meet a lot of people in and out of the industry, or?
Yes, I got to meet a lot of people, like from headquarters back in D.C., some of the top people in IHS, and I enjoyed that, and listening to the different leadership styles, and stuff like that. So
What was your favorite part of working with IHS?
my favorite part of working with IHS was working with my coworkers. Back then in the early days, go all the way moving forward, there were some of us that stayed and we became like a little family. And we did things together sometimes outside of work. And sometimes, I enjoyed working with my supervisors too and getting things done for them. But, we basically were like a little family. And right now, currently, from what I hear, things are changing, and it's kind of not like that anymore. But back then, when I was there, it was, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I still have friends from IHS.
That's awesome. So I myself, my mother worked with IHS for so long. So when you talk about DC, that was like in Rockville, Maryland. So we got to be able to grow up. I got to grow up in that environment a little bit, go to Denver a few. That's why I became a Denver Broncos fan, was really because my mom was constantly going to Denver. And
Good team.
yeah, going back, I mean, the IHS lifestyle, as a child, I know that. But as an employee, I kind of know it because I saw my mother go through it. And I think I can agree with what you said, because my mother had her coworkers and kind of like their like a circle of friends and it felt family like. So like some of my mom's coworkers, I still call like my aunt today. They're still my auntie today. Does that make sense? And she retired a couple years ago. So, and you're saying like it's not really like that today. And I guess I could see that just because all of basically any industry has changed, and I think a lot of things have changed because of that. Would you agree that maybe? What are some of the things that do you think changed that? Do you think it was like maybe technology changed it, from social media, or just the overall, just the progression?
I think it was the progression, and also the new blood coming in. Sometimes before we would promote within, and but after that, then they started moving toward getting people outside the box, and that kind of changed things a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong. It worked, but then again, you lost that the closeness that you had with each other. And that's my opinion. But
Yeah, kind of like the camaraderie you had with coworkers and even leadership and stuff like that. So, wow. And one thing I want to talk about, Willis, is you said you retired a year ago, and my mother, and I remember this, and big shout outs to my mom out there, but IHS employees are really, I remember back in the 80s, even the 90s, I don't know what the word is. It was instilled in their minds, instilled in their hearts that you had to save for things like retirement. Baby boomers, basically. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That they were educated about the importance of saving. And I don't think that's something that is out there too much today, but you're a benefactor of that mindset of saving for retirement. And now I think you lived I see your lifestyle and I'm like, wow. I see my mom's lifestyle. She just bought a new home. Now she owns 2 homes. She had 3 homes at one time. And
nice.
that, and this is coming from Indian Health Service, working for Indian country. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because, what did they say back then? I'm just curious. How did they come? Did they say, hey, sign up for your TSP, for your 401k, you got to do it? Or, how was that back then?
Well, back then, it all started with my mom. My mom was a big saver, and she had to be, even though my mom didn't make a lot, but she did manage to put away some money on the side, and it was basically from her. She would always encourage me to save, but in the beginning, I didn't save. I mean, I should have listened to her. But when I joined IHS, there were vehicles there for like your retirement, for TSP, to do things like that, and it took me about a year or 2 before I invested my money, and I wish I would have started right away, but I didn't. And I looked at the different investments, and I thought, okay, what do I want? Do I want to be risky? Do I want to be conservative? And I thought, let's be risky. So I put a lot of my stuff in the more risky, what they called it the C fund. And, not in the beginning, I really didn't follow it. Excuse me again. But over the years, my money grew. And I just happened to have a great year, one year, where I thought, yes, I'm going to be a millionaire. But that was short-lived because the next year, the market plunged. The TSP is connected to the S&P 500. And so I started to follow that a lot. And, every day or maybe once a week, I would check to see how the performance went. And I became a big follower of that. And I started to tell people on Facebook what was happening and that they needed to, if they had a TSP, they might need to change things around. And but me having a background a little bit in finance, I kind of knew the market would go up eventually. But the thing is, that's okay when you're young because you got the time to do that. But when you start to reach retirement age, you need to be a little more conservative. And so when I started, I was conservative. I started to be conservative and watch my TSP, but it was through IHS where I learned about saving, and through my mom, and and I'm happy for that. I'm glad that. Plus, there was the TSP matching. The government would also match what you put in, so that was a really good thing too. And But it was through IHS where I started to learn how to save.
So what you're talking about is risk tolerance.
Yes,
so
yes.
When you're in the market, when we're looking around at what risk tolerance is we have a conservative risk tolerance and we can be risky. Mm-hmm. And it's really important for everybody to understand that. What I'm curious about is what was it that drove you to have a little bit more of that risk tolerance understanding? Was anybody in the community or even at IHS providing that information, or was it just something you were learning and understanding because you had a background in finance? Was there anybody in I think about IHS and how there's so many of our community members throughout Indian country in these TSP plans, but is there really anybody educating our employees in the government, especially in Indian country, about the risk tolerance of being in a TSP?
No, there is nobody out there like that. For me, it was just more educating myself on that. And like I said, I kind of knew a little bit about the market, just a little bit. And so I knew it would eventually go up. But then again, you have to have that would be good for your early years. And but just to risk tolerance, there is a negative side to that too. Like during maybe 5 years ago, I lost $150,000 in my TSP, and that was hard to swallow. And I had to take a step back and change things around, and until things started moving forward, and I eventually got my money back. But it was a rough one to ride out. So. But there's nobody in the government to tell you about those different variations from being risky to conservative. So that's why on my Facebook, I would tell my friends or the people that followed me from work about TSP and kind of give them, oh, no, you need to maybe change things around. So that's the way I did it. And a lot of my friends, believe it or not, we're conservative. And I thought, what are you doing? And, I thought that they were treating their retirement like a bank account. And they were just so conservative, like maybe 100% in the G fund, which only made about 4% a year, mm-hmm. which was about, you take a look at inflation, you're not really making much. But it's just hard to explain that to them.
Absolutely. I mean, you said a key thing. A lot of people treat their retirement accounts like it's a bank account, and that's not a good thing.
Right.
So,
I think to bring context to that, when we have retirement vehicles like a TSP and treating that TSP or a retirement account, especially in retirement, treating it like a bank account can be a little bit hurtful, because I believe that when we put all the eggs in one basket, as opposed to having multiple accounts for this purpose, but if we're treating it like a bank account, it becomes an all-purpose account. While you're in retirement, well, we could have did a few diversification strategies early on, and just understanding that there's a purpose for the vehicle, and a TSP is the purpose of a TSP is to supplement retirement. It's not the full retirement plan. So let's circle back, because I feel like a lot of our community members don't understand or even know that they have a FERS plan that's also contributed to. If you're a full-time permanent employee, you have a FERS plan that's contributed to, and the employee is also contributing to that plan along with a TSP. So there's a supplement. So the TSP is a supplement, and the FERS plan is a pension plan, right? Was that explained to you when you initially started working at IHS, or is it something you just discovered along the way?
I believe, that, thinking about it, it probably was discussed to me, but it didn't jive with me at the beginning. And then eventually, when I looked at my bank statements and things like that, I began to look at it and understand it. But it was myself looking into it and trying to educate myself on things like that.
Would you highly encourage those that are working for any federal employer to just really sit down and take a look at their pay stub and see what they're participating in? Because you said something that's really key in the beginning of when you started your journey with IHS. You wish you had started sooner. And had you, it would have probably put you in a different position as you retired.
Correct. I wish that, the employee or that worked for the federal government, that they would, or somebody, they would hold a class or something that explained the TSP and the FERS to them, and to help them understand. Basically, you need to look at these things and manage them, and it's there. Maybe not right now. When you're young, you don't think about those things, but you got to plant the seed somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, can I just so people know, the 401k, the TSP, the 403b, Stephanie, she's the expert in this. And I remember hearing people say, well, I don't have to worry about the 401k stuff because I have a TSP. And I'm like, and I'll let you elaborate on that. Or I don't have to worry about that because I have a 403b. Can you tell us the difference and even what the TSP means?
So these are all just tax codes. So when we talk about a 401k, a TSP, a 403b, a 501c, they're just all tax codes for the employer that you're working for. So a TSP, those are basically a 401k plan for the federal government. It's a thrift savings plan, but they identify that as an IRS tax code. When you save in that type of pot, if you will, it's called a TSP, and it's easy for the IRS to identify that you're a federal employee. If you have a 401k, you work for a private organization or a private institution. And then when we're looking at 403b, you most likely work for the state or you're working for a nonprofit. So there's qualifications of being able to build a 403b when you're an employer or a nonprofit out in the community. You have to qualify. So there's just certain tax guidelines that are required when an employer sets up that retirement vehicle for their employees. It's identified in the classification, so they know when they're filling out, their tax returns, where they're employed and where these pots are sitting at. So when you do go into retirement, there's a general understanding. Okay, it's designated as a TSP, so this is where most likely that employee built that account, and then it segues all the way down to, are they traditional funds? Are they Roth? Like, there's all these different components of each retirement account. So it could go really, you could go dive really deep into it, but from the surface level, they're just IRS tax codes for where you're employed.
That's crazy. And they don't really explain that to you. And even Willis, he confirmed that they don't really explain that to you. They don't have a class. They don't have people coming in to explain these things. But you took it upon yourself to learn about it. Did you read books? Was it the internet or?
Actually, I read some books, and also on the TSP, I read up on what the TSP is, and I looked at the different accounts that are offered to us. Like, they have the C, the L, the what do they call it? The G fund, and they even have bonds in there too, and so those are things that I looked up, and they have a chart of the progression of how the stocks or how the different funds are doing, and I made my decision based on that, what I wanted to invest in.
So Willis had, and just to kind of give a little bit of light when it comes to the TSP, you took the role of actually managing your account and going in and playing with a few of your, what I call the slide bar. You can go into this fund, and you can play with it, because as an employee, you could do that. But most people, they just are thrown into what's called target funds. So target funds for an employer is where, okay, we think that they're going to retire in this year. So like, let's say that somebody's going to retire in 10 years. So they would just throw them into a target 10 years from now. And that's what usually the target fund is. So target, it'll be 2026. They're going to retire in 10 years. It'll be 2036. That's what, and then they would just draw all these components in it. But what Willis did was a little bit different. He's actually involved in his account to where he was moving things around. Yeah. And that's why that $150,000 loss was probably experienced a little bit heavier, because you were willing to take that risk.
Right, correct.
But I always like to ask this question. Because you said it took you about 5 years to recover.
It took me 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Yeah. See, you were really familiar with that, and how to recover what you had lost in 2 years. But did that extend your retirement?
Yes, it did. I was that, and plus the chaos that went on in D.C. When the new administration came on, job cutting and all that. You are correct. That I thought, oh darn, I'm going to have to work another 7 years or something to get back to where I want to be. And but then again, that ended because of the new administration, where it was pretty chaotic, and there were job cutting and all that, and that's one of the reasons why I retired, because I feared for my job, and without getting anything for it, because I would have been, if that would have happened, I would have came out with no benefits or anything like that. I would have just been out on the streets looking for another job. But because they gave me an incentive award to leave, I left and I took it. But yes, to what you said.
Wow, is there a lot of people that are in your? I could imagine. I mean, even with our clientele, that there are a lot of people that were in your shoes too, as well, right?
You're right.
Would you say there's a lot of people in the IHS workforce too, or even just the government workforce, that are Native American that don't really know? I mean, it sounds like you educated yourself. You took initiative to learn about the C funds, G funds, how the S&P works. But a lot of us don't do that.
Right.
And we end up with our pockets inside out and don't really know what to do by the time that retirement age creeps up on us. And it does creep up on us really quick. Would you agree, Willis?
Oh, it does. You're there for like 20, 30 years, and next thing you know, oh, darn, it's retirement time. And then you check your account and you say, how did I do? And sometimes you're surprised, and then you're surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then you retired.
Yes.
How was that? Let me ask you something. Let me go a little bit personal, if I could.
Sure.
Was that a mindset culture shock to go from working so many years in IHS and then all of a sudden I'm done working? I mean, wow, the work ethic that I do know you do have, and then all of a sudden you're like, was there I don't know. I guess for myself, I'd be like, what do I do now, or what's next, kind of thing. And when my mother retired, I had to I couldn't relate to that. Like, what do we do, Mom? I'm just used to you working all the time at IHS, traveling this, and then all of a sudden you're done. Like, what next? I can't even imagine how that was for you too, as well, Willis.
Yes, you are correct, Jason. It was kind of a shock to me. I basically was a workaholic. There were times in IHS where I worked like 10, 12-hour days, and just to get the job done. And I enjoyed it. Well, I enjoyed it to a point, but after a while, it burns you out. Mm-hmm. And so when I got moved back to finance, they decided to take away some of my responsibilities and give them to other people. And I had to train them what to do. And yeah, it is a shock once you leave and coming from being a workaholic and to slow down a little bit. And so basically that's what I did. But then once I retired, having that built into me, what do I do now? You're out there and, they always tell you hear stories, oh, you can get into your hobbies or you can be a volunteer. And, but honestly, that wasn't for me.
As it is probably not for most workaholics, especially in Indian country. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. And so, I would be able to go watch 2 or 3 movies a week. Got my senior discount.
Wow.
So then I would, but one thing good about retirement is I was able to focus back onto my health, and I got back into walking regularly every day, and something that I need to do for my health, and that's one thing that I like to do is do my walking because it's my me time, mm-hmm. And but yeah, you're absolutely right, Jason. I mean, geez, when you retire, and especially when you're not ready to retire, it's a total shock, and you kind of think, oh dear, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm. Do you know? Oh, that's a great question, by the way. Do you know when it's time to? Because I still have clients telling me, mm-hmm. This year, Jason, this year, Stephanie. Okay, are we ready? Next year, and we've been going on 5, 6, 7 years now. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's like you don't. And God bless them. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but they just used to work. They're used to working, always having responsibility, always having people depend on them for years. And all of a sudden, I don't know if it's a mindset thing. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do after I stop working. And mm-hmm. that mindset shift, and then going into what you want to do in your daily activities. Would you say that that's something that people, I don't know if they struggle with, or there's some people that are happy about it? Even you have met a lot of people like that. They put off retiring. Do you, I guess back to the question, do you know, is there something that goes out that says, okay, it's time, it's quitting time?
Yeah.
For good. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, for me, I kind of wanted to work till I was 67. And plus, then also I wanted my TSP to be over like 1.5 million. But wow. But I also wanted to, those were the guidelines I set for myself. But I never reached them. And if I reached them, and like say I was 67 and I did that, I don't know if I would still retire or not, or like you said, go on and say, oh, let's go for another year. I feel good. I think it just would depend on my health mm-hmm. for me, and whether to continue on, and it would depend on my health. It would depend on the how business was going and how the people were and how the things were going there. Just all those things. So if I reach that point, like you said, I would probably say another year, you know.
I
It's hard.
I definitely agree. And one of the things that we did when we started working together was look at your budget and what your overall plans were on what you wanted to do as you're retired. Like, okay, I want to make sure that I have some traveling in my budget. I want to be able to, you know, I know that my vehicle at some point needs to be replaced. Like just these little things that you have to really look at your retirement and strategize what that looks like and really forecast, right? So we started forecasting, what does the next year look like? What does the next 5 years look like? What does the next 10 years look like? And how much of this will you still have? But it just really instilled like a budget of this is how much you were making. So you were used to this type of lifestyle. But now we're in retirement. So you're getting these sources of income. So when we started to diversify and kind of look at that long term when we're working together, I think that was really eye-opening because I remember you just saying, oh, I could get the vehicle that I need, or I can go and actually take some of these trips. I'm like, yes, go, you know, and you've worked so hard. And that's where I think that just sitting down with somebody and just letting somebody else kind of forecast that and look at that for a retiree is really important. And you could correct me if I'm wrong, but you've done some traveling. You've done some things since you've retired.
Yes, you're correct on the other part. It was good to have somebody to guide you and to kind of help you open your eyes and give you the confidence to say, oh, I can do that now, or I can do that. And yes, I can travel now, and I've been to a few places, and like one of my favorite places to go is New York City, and I enjoyed that. And even before, you know, being younger, with my family, we made trips to Niagara Falls, and that was a big thing for me. And my sister used to work back east. It was because of my sister that I traveled too. My sister used to work back east in the D.C. area, and so we would go back and visit her. And also, she did her internship she's a doctor, in Hawaii, of all places. And I thought, man, God blessed you. And so that was an opportunity for me to save up my money and take trips to Hawaii every year and play on the beach. And
Hey,
I loved it. I loved it. And go to luau's and so. And we took my mom. My mom was alive back then, and so it was a good thing for her to get her out there and take her places that she's never thought she would be. And but then, you know, for me, I like to travel. One of the places, I like to go is Las Vegas. So that's one of my places I go to. I like to go to San Diego, in that area. And
So, like, just since I've known you, which has been less than a year, I think we met you. I remember we met you during the fall season last year.
yeah,
And then you came to us as a client.
yeah.
And then you eventually joined us. Just since I've known you, I've seen you go to New York City. I see the pictures of you in Queens. I've seen the pictures of you at Times Square. And I'm like, damn, this guy's living the dream. Like, that's retirement right there. And then I asked you a couple of weeks ago, where are you at, Willis? You're like, oh, I took my nephew to Legoland on my dime. And then you showed me a picture of you at Legoland, and then you're at the beach. And then also you went to the Final Four.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
March Madness. And I'm like, dang, Willis, I kind of feel I'm listening to, like, it was a culture shock. Yes, but you adapted pretty darn well, in my opinion. So you got to travel to see a lot of these cool things. And to me, that's how retirement should be, right?
Right.
And
right.
I think Dreamcatcher kind of sets you up in a way, right? With Stephanie, we strategize these things that you're still going to be getting paid, still getting paid for the rest of your life, and you're able to live that retirement lifestyle.
Correct.
Am I on point with that, Willis? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. As far as being on point, I do like to go to those different places, and it's an enjoyment for me to go there, and also to bring my nephew along and have him experience things like that hopefully he will remember, because I remember also when I was little things that I've done, and I'm hoping that he would remember things like that too. And so I can go way back, like when I was 5 years old, 6 years old on certain things, not everything, but yeah. And yeah, Jason, you are correct. And I do like to go to places, and that's something that is a part of me. Like I said, on my bucket list, I want to go to Peru and South America. I want to take a cruise around Cape Horn and experience those rough waves down there. And so I think with Dreamcatcher, I can do that. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things.
So switching to that, after, we helped, can you elaborate a little bit, not in full detail, of course, about how we helped Willis? Does that make sense? Like how we strategized it, his retirement basically.
Yeah, definitely. So when we started talking, one of the areas that we strategize with retirees is to make sure that you never outlive the money that you've saved, right? And we want to always make sure that that'll be lifetime income. But we also have growth strategies for a portion of that as well. So we're really diversifying and divvying up these retirement funds that retirees save. So just looking at long term, what's the forecast look like in the next year? This is what I want to do in the next 2 years and 5 years. This is where I want to go with what I have right now. And it was just really important for you that you're able to continue to travel and you're able to continue to take care of your home and just like your financial obligations. So every household is different. But what I admire about you, Willis, is that although you're willing to help, you understand there's a boundary and a line between being overly helpful financially to different people or your family members, that you ultimately understand that what you've worked really hard for throughout these years, it's your responsibility to make sure that that's still there, so you're not in a position where you'll ever outlive whatever funds that you've made. And then when you transitioned over into working with us, I just really, that was a quality that I admire, was that you are already used to helping Indian country, right? And making sure that you're helping our people at IHS. And then when you came and started working with Dreamcatcher, I was actually the one that's like, I think you would make a great teammate, because you had that, you're intentional about wanting to give back to others. But just really, you were already posting on Facebook how that TSP worked, just your experience. You're not really giving advice, but you're giving that experience. Maybe it's time to look at this or that. And, you've had a background in finance, but it's just really nice how it all came together. And now you're part of the team and you're actually licensed with the team. And I think that that's something that's really important to mention, is that when we're working with anybody in the community, that they should be licensed and have some type of experience with working with different sectors inside of our tribal communities. Does that answer your question, Jason?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Does that sound about right, Willis?
Absolutely, it does. And because of that, with Dreamcatcher, I had that experience. Like the way I like to look at it is that when I worked with the IHS, that was kind of like macro overall. But with Dreamcatcher, I have a chance to work. It would be micro, working individually with the client, and coming face to face with the native people out there.
Absolutely. And one of the things, and Naomi is here with us too, and she's one of the younger people that works on our team, and it's crazy the contrast, because she's actually been helping you and your folks. Yes. So we have somebody that's young learning from somebody who's experienced. Let me ask you first, Willis. Okay. How has that been working with somebody like Naomi?
Well, for me, like I said before, I've always been a team player, and this is new to me, and I always would like to learn something new. And even if she's younger, it doesn't matter. If she brings that experience and something that the knowledge, and that's something that I want to learn. Absolutely. And I'm open to it. And I work I like to say I work well with people, I hope. And so I welcome the help that I would get, regardless if they're younger than me and all that. I mean, I do appreciate her time, because I know that time, she doesn't get back, but she's giving it to me, and I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate what Stephanie and you are doing, Jason, to help me too. When you give me your time. So thank you, guys.
Absolutely. How's it been working with Willis and the folks that are the retirees?
Yeah, it's been great. And the same thing that Willis said, I'm always open to learning. And although I'm teaching them a lot when it comes to the business, they're also teaching me a lot with their experiences and everything that they've learned throughout their lifetime, especially when it comes to leadership. So those are my biggest takeaways when it comes to helping Willis and his teammates. And it's been quite an experience. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of time. But again, time is of the essence. But when you're working with individuals who know more than you, it's really you giving back, but also taking into account the knowledge that you're learning at the same time.
Absolutely. Good. So, all right, just wrapping up. Guys, like you heard it first from somebody who's gone through years working with the Indian Health Service, working for the U.S. government in finance. And I like what you just said, like, I don't know everything. And I think that takes a lot, because sometimes people think they know everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that becomes a detriment. But you came to us and you said, I don't really know. I know what I know, which we just now heard he knows a lot. But at the end of the day, he still comes to us and says, I don't know everything. And even what you're saying now, joining Dreamcatcher, I'm working with somebody like Naomi, where she's teaching me things. And I think that's a great mindset to have, even as you get older. And then Naomi saying the same thing, like, I absorb what they're teaching me. And I think that just puts a lot of opportunity, a lot of potential for success for Indian people, for Native people, when we have that kind of mindset. Does that make sense? So with that said, I mean, this is, Willis, licensed by the state of Arizona. He has a small team of retirees growing. Him and a couple of our folks, they run our helping retirees branch, or I don't know if we call it a department yet, but these are folks that have actually done it and are doing it. So I recommend, like, if you ever have retirement concerns, retirement questions, things you want to do, ask Willis. Comment or check out our website. I'll post a link here, or hit up our office line, and you'll get to talk to Willis or one of our retirees helping retirees, and then we can go from there. This has been such an honor, such a great privilege to talk to somebody who has walked the walk and doesn't just talk the talk. Does that make sense? So that's all I have to say. Appreciate it. Thank you. Willis, and even your community, Wallapai community, how we've gone out there and visited some of your folks, and even the Rocky Boy, Montana people too. So it's been such an honor to know you and get to work with you, and just become a friend to you. So I'm going to go ahead and let Stephanie and Naomi, if they want to have any last words, and then we'll finish up there, and then I'll let you have the last word if that's okay with you, Stephanie.
Awesome. No, I really think that having this conversation with the retirees is really important. We are helping a lot of retirees inside of our communities, and I know that for Willis, it's intentional of wanting to help other retirees really plan for the future and really forecast the future. It's so intentional that he's licensed with our team, but he's also growing an organization, and he actually has a licensed teammate that's a part of our organization right now, where he's actually building out an agency. But I want to really highlight an area that he's working on is creating another stream of income, so that he'll be able to continue to build up the wealth and build up what he's doing to, just live the lifestyle that he wants to live. So I just really appreciate Willis for being a part of our team, believing in the services that we have, and the strategies that we offer, believing so much in it that you're now a licensed teammate, and making sure that you're an advocate and your voice is out in our Indian country, talking about why it's so important to plan for retirement and to be involved and engaged in those conversation pieces. So we're very happy to have you on the team along with your team as you guys continue to build out into Indian country.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been a pleasure and honor to have Willis on the team. And, one of the biggest things is when Willis was a client, I was able to learn a lot from him when he came to Dreamcatcher and worked with Stephanie and came with the solutions that he did. Coming from a younger generation who is looking to retire early, I definitely learned a lot, and I really admire the fact that Willis took the opportunity to work with Dreamcatcher because it taught me a lot and it helped me prepare for my retirement as well. So it's really, truly been a pleasure, Willis, having you on the team, and I'm super excited to see where you're going to go and how you're going to build with us.
100%.
Thank you.
All right. Any last words, Willis?
Well, just, take a look at Dreamcatcher, contact one of their financial associates or financial professionals, and see what they have to offer. I would recommend that you would get on a BPM, listen to the BPM that we have every Tuesday at 6 p.m., and that way you'll learn more about Dreamcatcher Financial Solutions, and maybe, you might be part of the team next. But those are my last words.
Awesome. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like, and then we'll see you on the next one.